Welcome to our afternoon read aloud. Today we will continue our learning about famous Americans with another freedom fighter. Remember this book about Harriet Tubman, freedom fighter? Well, there was another freedom fighter named Frederick Douglass. And on the cover, I think this must be him when he's young. This is when he's older. And, I think he must be a speaker, a good, strong speaker, like Martin Luther King Jr., huh? Okay, here we go. Frederick Douglass, freedom fighter. Oh, that must be a picture of him when he's little. Written by Garnet Nelson Jackson. Looks like he's thinking. Ooh, there I see a picture of a little boy, maybe out in the country on a farm feeding some chickens. As a young boy, Frederick Douglass lived on Captain Anthony's farm. One day, he chased chickens out of the garden. Keeping chickens out of the garden was Frederick's task. He also had to clean the yard, drive cows to and from the barn, and run errands, and he always did a good job. If he didn't, he'd be punished. Frederick was a little slave boy on a farm in Maryland. Because of his busy days, he was always hungry. At supper time, he gobbled cornmeal mush with other children like himself. At the end of the day, the tired children huddled on a cabin floor. There they fell soundly asleep. So look, they're eating their cornmeal mush out of a trough all together with their hands. And that's pretty much all they get to eat because they are enslaved little children. Captain Anthony was a slave owner. He owned many people, men, women, and children. He made them work for him without pay. Captain Anthony and his helpers punished anyone who did not do as he said. This was slave life. Everyone awoke very early to begin a hard day's work, and at the end of the day, they went to sleep, only to get up the next day to work again. There was hardly any fun at all. Many times, children were kept apart from their parents, so Frederick was very happy when his mother visited him. She lived and worked on a farm a mile away. She would usually come at night, just as he fell asleep. The last time Frederick saw his mother, she brought him a heart-shaped cake. All Frederick knew about his birthday was that he was born in February. He chose February 14th, Valentine's Day, as his birthday. Oh, wow. So he picked it for himself as his birthday. And I'm making a connection to Harriet Tubman, remember, who said that her sisters were sold away. So slave families were not respected in any way. If the mom or the dad, anybody could be sold away to another farm anytime. Frederick was unhappy with the way slave owners treated African American people, but he never let anyone know. He just worked hard and kept a smile as he made plans for freedom. Because Frederick was smart and pleasant, he was well liked. When relatives of Captain Anthony needed a servant, 8-year-old Frederick was chosen. He went to live in the city of Baltimore, Maryland. He was treated well there. He had enough to eat and better clothing to wear. In Baltimore, he learned to read and write. Slave children were not allowed to attend school. Frederick, however, traded his food for reading lessons from white children who went to school. He learned to write some letters by watching carpenters who labeled pieces of wood for ships. I got to stop and think. Just think. He was so determined to learn to read that he traded his food. He traded his food for reading lessons. Wow. He met his friends in the neighborhood and wrote the letters on a board fence. The children told him the names and sounds of the letters. He put the letters together and made words. He found an old spelling book and kept it in his pocket at all times. And as time passed, he learned all of the words. Wow, he was really determined to learn, to read and write. Frederick grew up. At age 20, he dressed as a sailor and ran away to New York City. People who lived in New York and most of the North did not own slaves. Frederick had escaped slavery. Frederick went all around the North speaking about the evils of slavery. He wrote articles and books to make people all over the world hate slavery. Oh, there he is speaking, giving a speech, talking about the evils of slavery. Oh, and that's like the picture on the cover. Although many people in America agreed that slavery was wrong, not everyone did. In the South, slave owners did not want African American people to be free. Northerners and Southerners argued more and more about slavery. At last, there was a terrible civil war, the North against the South. And here's a good map that shows the southern states and the northern states. And this is the West. These were territories. That was part of the fight too, was would these new areas become slave holding or have no slaves? And you can see a key, right, unlocks the information in the book. Here's a key for the colors. Red, free states of the North and free territories. Yellow, slave states that fought against the South. And green, slave states of the South. And there's a little thing called a compass rose that shows the directions on a map. And here's the flag of the United States and the flag of the Confederacy, or the South. During the war, Frederick met with President Lincoln. The two men talked about ways of ending slavery. Frederick Douglass called on free African American men to join the president's army. Many African American soldiers fought bravely for the North, and after 4 years of war, the North won. Slavery had ended. African American people all over the South were joyful to have their freedom. They now had a chance to live and be happy like other people. Frederick Douglass will always be remembered for helping to bring about this freedom. Oh, and the breaking of the chains is real, but also a symbol that stands for the freedom of the enslaved people. In the back, there's a glossary. We know most of those words, so we won't worry about this. And this is some information that we haven't always seen in a book, a picture, a photograph, information about the author and about the illustrator. We won't read those details. But anyway, since I got to do something at the end of the book, I'm going to go back, and I think it's so amazing to think Frederick Douglass knew how important it was for him to learn to read, and he actually traded his food. He traded his food so that he could get other children to teach him to read and write. Well, I hope you enjoyed Frederick Douglass, Freedom Fighter. Don't forget to keep washing your hands, cover your coughs and sneezes, do some reading, do some writing, help your family around the house, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.